Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. Like I had mentioned on Saturday, I'm going to dwell on farmer distress. I'm going to talk about a topic that normally is not spoken about, normally doesn't get views, normally nobody is interested. But believe me it is possibly one of the most important topic in our country, for our country. 10,786 farmers ended their life. Let's talk about them. Let's get right to the show. Like I said, this is one subject that is not spoken much. The reason why people don't speak about it much is because this doesn't get viewership. People are not interested. This is not sensational. This is not interesting. This doesn't involve celebrities or politicians. So people don't want to listen to this. But like I told you on Saturday, this is why HW News Network was created. We made this channel for talking about farmers, for talking about that section of society people don't talk about. So I'm going to talk about the NCRB report, which said that 10,786 farmers ended their life. And you know what? 38% of them from Maharashtra, 22.5 in Karnataka. Let's understand what farmer distress is all about. What exactly does an Indian farmer go through? How can it be stopped? What are the steps that we can take? But before that, again on Saturday in my editorial, I had shown you a clip of a 14-year-old kid. This 14-year-old kid's interview, thanks to some social media that took her interview, went and took her interview. This 14-year-old girl actually lost her father. Her father ended his life. This 14-year-old girl speaks about her father, her memories of her father. She talks about how her father loved her more than her brother. She talks about how a father wanted to see her as a police officer. She also talks about how every 15 minutes, creditors would call her father and threaten him because he had taken loan to farm so that he can buy farm inputs and farm. She also talks about her father holding her and her mother and crying all day. Crying because he just couldn't take it anymore. She talks about how she still runs out when she hears some vehicle pass by, hoping that it could be her father. She doesn't want anything from the government. She doesn't want anything from anybody. All she wants is that nobody else, at least somebody of her age, suffers the fate she is going through. Just see this clip before I take it further.
कसं पण येऊन भेटते ते मला.
कसं भेटते ते?
असं म्हणजे लय लाड करतात. माझ्या भाऊन माझा लाड होता जास्त.
पप्पा काय म्हणायचं तुला?
काय नको दिसतं पोलीस होऊन दाखव म्हणायचे मला.
आता पप्पा तुझे गेले तर काय फिशकम गेले पप्पा तुझे?
कर्ज होतं 15 मिनिटाला फोन असायचा सारखं. अर्धा तास आम्हाला दीड तास बसून दाखवल्याला त्यांनी किती फोन येतात. असं म्हणजे दमच नव्हता. सकाळी उठलं फोनच. एकदा फोन आणि डबल घेतला. असं रडायचं पण म्हणजे असं आम्ही रानात आलो की सुट्टी दिवशी ती रडायचं गळा धरून मम्मीच्या बी माझ्या बी रडायचं. मग त्यांना सांगा म्हणायचं कोणाचा फोन येतोय काय होतंय तर सांगत नव्हतं. गप्प बसायचं असं म्हणजे सहन करायची ही होती त्याच्याकडे. मग त्यांनी सहन केलं असं केलं.
आता काय वाटतं पप्पा गेले तुला?
वाईट वाटतंय. म्हणजे अशी कोणाची गाडी वाजली की पप्पाची गाडी आली म्हणून वाटतंय.
आता सरकारकडून काय मागणी आहे तुझी?
जसं माझे पप्पा गेले तसं कोणाची जाऊ नये, हीच आहे.
So, coming back to some statistics, 10,786 farmers lost their lives. They ended their lives, out of which 33%, like I told you, were from Maharashtra. Now, Maharashtra's figures are alarming. Marathwada alone saw 1,088 farmers die. And you know, this year, beginning of this year, starting of this year, we saw close to 767 farmers die, starting of 2025. You see, the problem, if you actually dissect it, starts with the fact that we view farmers as some social worker instead of an entrepreneur, a businessman. You see, farmers are no social workers. They need to be seen as entrepreneurs, businessmen. You know the difference? The difference is the moment we see our farmers as social workers, when we look at a farmer as a beneficiary, you know, we offer, the government offers them welfare schemes, the government offers them freebies, the government offers them loan relief, the government offers them free seeds, so on and so forth. It is always about welfare, relief, loan waiver, so on and so forth. While what a farmer in India requires is profitability. How can the government help them to increase profitability? How can the government help them to increase technology? How can the government help them to innovate their farming technology, their farming techniques? How can the government help them to sell their produce directly to the consumers, or at least directly to retailers, so that their profitability goes up? How can the government help them to ensure that they directly are in a position to export their products? This is the way a farmer needs to be seen. Not like somebody who is doing some kind of social work. And after all this, after, calling them Jai Jawan and Jai Kisan, did we actually improve a farmer's life? What dignity does that farmer have in our society? Like I told you, I'm telling you, this program, not even 10,000 people will watch this particular video, because nobody is interested. So except for giving lip service in our cocktail parties, how else does this social service label on a farmer help? Farmer is not a social worker. Farmer is an entrepreneur. Treat him like one. That's my point number one. My point number two. You see, farming industry or agricultural industry cannot be seen year to year. The chances are the first year when the farmer sows his seeds, he may earn profits. But the next year, his field, his farm is produced, destroyed by flood. Next to next year, possibly famine. Next to next year, possibly floods again. Maybe in the fourth year, he sees profits, or maybe in the fifth year. What needs to be done is farming should be seen from a 5-year horizon. 5-year horizon. And every time a farmer has a good harvest, as a country, we should ensure that the farmer earns a fantastic profit that particular year. The way it will help is that profitability can sustain him for the next 2 or 3 bad years that he may have. I am not saying that will solve all the problem, but I am definite that it will help reduce farmer suicide. Because think about it. Famine, floods are not just in India or not just in Maharashtra. It is all over the world. Famine exists in United States of America. Floods happen in United States of America. Flood happens in Australia. It happens in Japan. It happens in Sri Lanka. It happens in Bangladesh. It happens all over the world. Why are farmers not dying like the way farmers are dying in India or committing suicide in India? And these are the issues that is aggravating their distress. So point number 2, what I suggest is, let's look at farm income in a 5-year horizon instead of year to year. Point number 3. Farmer needs an alternative income. The government should ensure that farmer has an alternative income. Manrega is a fantastic platform for that. But that platform is not good enough because farmers are still dying. Our infrastructural development, why don't we take our infrastructural development to rural India? Road development that is happening in rural India, we contract it to large, huge corporates. And those corporates gets workers, mostly machinery, from large cities. Machines do most of the work. And the skilled laborers comes with the machine. What happens to the rural youth? They are deprived of job. Let us make a conscious effort to develop rural India and make a conscious effort to ensure that our youth in rural India gets an opportunity or gets work in that development, during that development. Unskilled, semi-skilled, and if there are skilled workers can be employed to ensure that they get work, they get job. They are part of the development A, B, they earn out of that development. They benefit out of that development directly. So that's point number 3. While India is vikasit, India is getting progressive, India is getting developed, the rural youth and the rural economy still languishes. My next point, a very, very relevant one and a very important one. You see, I've been spending, for the last 2 decades, I've been spending a lot of time going around villages, going to rural India, meeting farmers. One thing that I've realized is farming is a very specialized industry, very specialized sector. And you know what? The people who administer farming and agriculture in India are generalists. They're not specialists. Most of the ministers who are supposed to be agricultural ministers and most of the bureaucrats who are supposed to be actually administering this particular sector have no idea what farming is. Absolutely no idea what farming is, and worst, no interest in farming. You see, when you talk about foreign services, you have the Indian Foreign Services under the UPSC. When you talk about police services, you have the Indian Police Services under the UPSC. Why? Because these are specialized jobs which require specialized skill sets, and therefore you have specialized streams. So you have IAS, IFS, you even have Indian Foreign Services. Why can't we have Indian Agricultural Services who administer agriculture? This is important because the person who is administering Indian agriculture needs to understand the concept of agriculture, needs to understand the technology of agriculture, needs to understand the concept of agricultural science, need to understand the concept of agricultural economics. You can't be a journalist and one fine day for 2 years or 3 years of your career, sit in that chair and do whatever you think is right and then walk out and go into the next job which could possibly be collector or some other position of some state, of some city or some commissioner of some municipal corporation. This can't be. You can't be a journalist. You need to be a specialist. You see, agricultural department should be taken as seriously as defense. It should be taken as seriously as home. It should be taken as seriously as finance. Because agricultural department, food security is national security. And that is what agriculture department provides you. It deals with life. Common man's life. 10,000 people ended their lives. We are responsible. And if we have an effective agricultural ministry, possibly we can restrict that. At least we can reduce it. The point is, it is imperative that in our reforms, first of all, we desperately need farm reforms. Farm reforms which actually help the farmers. That is what I need when I say farm reforms. And one of the most important things that we need in this reform more than anything else are people who sit in the helm, who are people who are aware of farming, who are aware of what agriculture is. Most importantly, who are passionate about agriculture. And then see the difference. My last point that I want to make is we need, like I said, in my first point again, but I want to re-emphasize, we need technology. We need innovation. We need infrastructure for farming with the same impetus that we are giving on infrastructure for industries, for IT and for other sectors. We need humongous amount of impetus given to infrastructure and technology in farming. We need people, we need farmers to be supported so that they can sell their produce. One of the biggest problems in farming today are the middlemen. Think about it. Have you ever heard a middleman commit suicide? Think about it. Have you ever heard a farm tool manufacturer or a farm fertilizer manufacturer, God forbid, commit suicide? None of them do, but a farmer does. You see, the problem with farming is the ultimate hit is taken by the farmer, because farming possibly is the only industry where the farmer can neither decide the input cost, because those are decided by agricultural companies, seed companies and other farm input companies, or neither can the farmer decide the output cost, because those are decided by the mandis. Now you tell me, how can you do business when you have no control over the input cost and the output cost? The point that I'm trying to make is huge monies are made by the middlemen as far as agriculture is concerned. It is not that agricultural business does not make money. And more than 50 to 60% of our youth works in the agricultural sectors. So it is not that agricultural sector doesn't make money. It is just that the farmer doesn't make money. Equip, empower the farmer so that he can market, he can sell, he can use technology in his system. Help a farmer so that he can store his produce, so that he can sell at the best time. Today, because of lack of storage facility, a farmer cannot hoard his product and sell it at a best price. A middleman does it for him. So it's not that it is not done. Products are not hoarded or products are not stored and sold at the best price. The middleman is doing it. The farmer benefits in no way. So the point is, if there is support given to the farmers. More importantly, another important point I wanted to add here is, you see, today middlemen are acting like money lenders. Most of the people who, these creditors that little child was speaking about, I'm sure a lot of them are farm input suppliers. They act like money lenders. They give you produce at huge amount of profits, a huge amount of interest, literally, because that's what they charge month on month if you don't pay. And then they send goons. This needs to be looked into. These are the basic thought processes. These are the basic points I wanted to get to your notice. This is a very simplistic format. A very simplistic format that I'm presenting to you. But I think the government should dwell into this. The government should take these suggestions seriously and act. Act not for votes. Act to ensure that the child, like she said, let there not be any other child who has to go through what this little child is going through today. That's the point I wanted to make. Till I see you next time. That's tomorrow at 10. Namaskar.